Welcome to Capes and Scowls Reviews Suicide Squad. I'm Cliff.
Shuster.
Olivia.
And I'm going to start by saying I am entirely meh about this movie. I had low expectations, and it barely met my low expectations. What do you got about you guys?
I had higher expectations. I thought the trailers made it look a lot better, but obviously Warner Brothers specifically hasn't learned not to mangle their own DC movies. It was as bad. It was as bad as the people that I saw on Facebook and all across the internet said it was. I did not like. I was cringing most of the film. I didn't like any of the way it was edited, the way it was organized. A lot of the cuts were horrible. Some of the characters didn't even need to be there because you just didn't get any information on them. One character was specifically in there for 38 seconds?
Slipknot.
Yes. That character was significant, was only there to die. That's it.
He proved a point. He was a plot device.
It was bad.
Okay, why don't we get a little bit of Olivia's opinion on this?
Fine, I'll shut up.
So I had low expectations going in, and I was pleasantly surprised by some things. I ended up really liking Will Smith's character. I thought Margot Robbie did a really good job for, what she was given. About the editing and pacing, I noticed about, 20 minutes through the movie that it just reminded me of just how a video game would be set up. Like, there's just levels and stages of things, and it's hard to describe without showing you, but if you see the movie again, you kind of can tell what I'm talking about, because it's definitely edited with that in mind, I think. Just how, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I mean, I have to agree. I think Will Smith, for me, was the best part, and I had probably the lowest expectations for him because of recent things that he's been in where I've just really lost my feelings for Will Smith, as an actor. But I think this movie really needed, whatever it is Will Smith brings to a movie, is what it needed. The pacing was odd and had the video game feel to me, and it just didn't feel like they elaborated enough on some of the characters and tried to bring too much into the movie. The Joker, I felt, was entirely unnecessary to the whole plot of the film. Do either of you?
I can agree. I if you're gonna choose a villain, you needed it to be the Joker and not Enchantress.
But I don't think Enchantress was the villain. I think it ends up being Waller is the actual villain of this movie.
I mean, Enchantress was trying to just do something with a thing, with a sky portal.
Ghostbusters?
Sky portals are normally bad.
Ghostbusters?
We're not going to go there.
But that's what Ghostbusters did. Sky portals. All right.
Well, I disagree because I feel like a lot of the complaints I heard online was Joker just wasn't in it enough, but I disagree. I felt he was there an appropriate amount of time overall, and I feel like Harley Quinn and Joker just kind of go hand in hand together.
It's one of the reasons why I thought Joker should have been the main villain, and that's who they should have went after instead of Waller / Enchantress. I mean, I didn't really personally like Leto's take on the Joker. That aside, but if you were going to do the Joker, you do the full Joker, especially because you have Harley in the film. You want that that connection, and I did feel like he was in it a fine amount. A lot of people wanted more, and yeah, if they had more, we had more, which is what I'm kind of aiming at. But it was really jarring the way they put him in the film.
He was very, the modern take on him was very gangster, which is kind of off-putting. But I guess I don't know. Where do you go from Heath Ledger? I don't know. But
you can go a whole slew of different directions. But I just didn't feel like the tattooed ultra hip a gangster with a slight feminine twist on the Joker was not what I was looking for.
I'm not a big reader of Suicide Squad, so like some of the characters in this, I'm not fully aware of their backstories. I don't know a whole lot about Killer Croc. I don't know a lot about Diablo. But when the movie ended, I really wanted to know more about Diablo. I think he ended up being the character that surprised me the most, and I found him to be the most interesting. I can appreciate what they did with that character, being like, he did something really terrible, and then was going to spend the rest of his life repenting by never using his power again. I thought it was really cool when he was fighting Enchantress's brother Incubus and turned into the big, I'm calling him Ragnaros from World of Warcraft, and he turned into a big fire demon.
Looked more Aztec, but yes, I enjoy the rag.
Right, I thought that was really cool, and I want to know more about that character based on this portrayal.
I mean, yeah, I actually liked him, but I thought what they needed to do was this movie needed to be made 3 or 4 years into the future, and put these characters in other films to establish them, so that you don't have to spend any time wasted in the film going through backstories.
So they should have just done what Marvel did?
Yeah, why not?
And then
it's one, it works, and two, you wasted so much time prepping us with information, just throwing exposition, which lots of exposition is not good, and then you have so little time for a plot, which is why it felt rushed. And then all of a sudden you're like, okay, well, we have all this exposition, and then they're like, okay, well, here's Diablo's story. They literally stop in the middle of the third act, or what was supposed to be the third act, because it's very hard to determine the acts in this film, to then throw you more backstory on another character. That's just bad editing.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
I think they could have reordered the movie some, and that would have improved it.
For instance, this is not any spoiler, but the first 3 scenes was introduction to Deadshot, in scene 2 was introduction to Harley, and then scene 3 was, if I'm not mistaken, introduction to Amanda Waller. I feel the first 2 scenes of Deadshot and Harley needed to be moved to another part of the movie, and you needed to be introduced to Amanda Waller first. She is the central point in this film,
yes.
And you decided to introduce the 2 main characters of the film in terms of the squad first. It didn't make any sense. It was like, okay, well, here's Deadshot, okay, here's Harley, and now we're going to start moving the plot forward. It was jarring, I felt.
And then for the team itself, outside of Diablo, I'm not sure how that team actually beats Enchantress. Enchantress is a god, basically, a super-powered witch. She lives forever, has all these ridiculous powers, and you have a guy with a gun, another guy with a gun, a guy with boomerangs and he never throws them, a chick with a baseball bat, a girl with a katana, and they don't explain her at all.
Yeah.
And then the one guy who's, I've later found out, is possessed by a demon. He's the only one I feel that would actually have been able to stand up to them, and he did stand up until he ran out of steam.
Personally, I felt the Enchantress was perfectly good for a Justice League Dark film. To people who don't know what Justice League Dark, it's basically people like Swamp Thing, Constantine, Zatanna, was it Aragon the Demon, so on and so forth. They literally fight supernatural and magic entities, and what is Enchantress? A supernatural and magic entity. I thought that would be a perfect fit for them. That's why I say the Joker should have been the enemy in this film, because the Joker and henchmen are more in line with the powers, if you will.
It's a more feasible pairing.
Yes. Someone said they wanted to, I forget online, somebody said that they wanted to see them go after like a warlord in another country or something along those lines, because that's a more feasible entity than a omnipotent, superpowered being that uses their omnipotence and their power to best red shirts, but when it came to the squad, was like, we're just not going to auto-kill them.
Right.
That's poor writing. Plain and simple.
Right.
And that's one of the problems with the film, is you picked and chose when you wanted Enchantress to be OP, overpowered, and, lessened, which doesn't make sense.
Now, did you stay for the post-credit scenes?
I did. I personally... What, scenes?
Scene. Sorry.
Okay.
Scene.
We were there because I normally like. I didn't stay for the actual end.
Sorry. Scene.
But I had no problem with the end credit scene. I thought it was interesting, and added more depth to it. I personally really like this Ben Affleck as Batman. So
Well, see, so my issue with the end credit scene wasn't that Ben Affleck was in it. That's not my problem. I have no issues with that.
Yeah.
My issue was he basically told Waller, hey, what you're doing, you don't need to do that anymore. Don't worry about your team. They're useless. I'll take care of this. So that end credit scene for me made the whole movie pointless. The whole team pointless. Yes, it was a bad movie and we could have done without it, and we all probably would have been better for not seeing it. But if you're going to, you still need to at least have it count. But they just basically in that scene went back.
Who's to say Waller isn't going to ignore Batman like she does in the comics in the future? Yeah, Batman. Yeah,
I think you're giving DC a little too much credit in their movies right now.
I mean, well, Jeff Johns is now
well, all right,
taking over, so I will give full credit to any future endeavors. But no, I felt that. Yeah, he's saying that, but that doesn't mean that the team is never going to happen again. It just means that Batman is telling Waller, I will end you if you decide to try to do this again. And Waller, if you know her from the comics, she's just going to be like, I'm going to do whatever I want. Fuck Batman.
all right.
I think there's far worse things in this film to complain about necessarily.
Well, yes.
So, yeah.
But for me, for a way to end a movie of basically invalidating the team that you went to watch the movie, the movie to see this team, to then it being invalidated in one scene, for me, that's...
I mean, at this point, I'll just disagree. I just don't think it's invalidating the team. I just think it's enlightening, especially a relationship that was always interesting in the comics, which is Waller and Batman / Bruce Wayne.
Yes, they have quite an odd way of respecting each other.
Exactly. And hopefully that plays out further, because I loved who played Waller. I'm not...
Viola Davis?
Viola Davis.
That's great.
She was absolutely hands down perfect. Probably the best casting of the movie, in my opinion.
I can agree with that.
I didn't hate Will Smith. I know a lot of people have this hatred of Will Smith these days. I don't. I still will go see his films, still like his films. Haven't seen all of them. Probably haven't seen the ones that made you turn against him. But I do like him. I did hear the Django Unchained story, and that kind of made me, a little less intrigued on Smith, because apparently he wanted to be in Django Unchained, but it wanted to be completely focused about him, and it was all centered around him. And he decided they decided not to go with him because he was being egocentric about it. So that's a rumor that has flown around Hollywood, and if true, it kind of makes Will Smith seem like a dick. But I like Will Smith in movies, personally. I don't have anything against him.
All right. Well, I think we can all agree that the movie wasn't great. Bad. It's not on par with some of the Marvel movies, or any of the Marvel movies. But maybe this is where DC can start to turn the corner, and I'm looking forward to Wonder Woman. So you can catch our review of Wonder Woman after it comes out.
Yeah,
or Doctor Strange.
Yes, Doctor Strange.
Different universe.
Yes, but...
But no, I do think with Jeff Johns and several people taking the helm from WB, hopefully now after Batman and Suicide Squad, it'll change course and get better, because DC's missing on those swings, and it sucks because we all love comic films. We all want them to succeed. So
a subpar comic book film, it really hurts the whole industry as a whole, I think. So it is. It's not that I wanted this film to be bad. It's just it's disappointing when it's below your expectations. So.
Yeah. Well, if you guys agree with us on our reviews or don't agree with us, let us know. If there's anything you want us to review, let us know.
Praise us.
Right. Praise us, yell at us, whatever you want to do. But we'll be back with more reviews.
Oh, yeah.
So, have a good night.